St. John Neumann in the last century, a long time ago, promoted the idea of the university. Well, our guest today is starting a university. Hello and welcome to Wordnet. Our guest today is Dr. Jennifer Nolan, PhD. She is going into a very, very interesting field of creating the Catholic Polytechnic University. Now that's a mouthful. And we're going to hear a mouthful about that from you, Jennifer. Nice to see you.
Nice to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Your background is in, I understand, your doctorate in cognitive science.
It is.
From the University of Irvine here in California.
Yeah.
What is cognitive science?
Oh boy, there's a mouthful for you. It is a branch of psychology that focuses not on therapy but on research, and it has to do with attention, memory, perception, and how the brain processes these things. So if you think of cognitive abilities, that's what it's all about. So my particular expertise is in stroke recovery, dementia, and my dissertation incorporated insulin resistance into it. So, but I have taught at the university level at UC Irvine, Loyola Marymount, and Glendale College, and what I taught there mostly was experimental methods, research design, statistics, gerontology, general psychology, and physiological psychology.
That's quite a mix.
So, it is. It's a lot of fun though.
But the cognitive, that's how the brain recognizes, processes, and acts upon ideas.
Or stimulation of any sort.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, creating, and you have a co-founder.
I do, yeah.
And your co-founder's name is?
His name is Chris Plants. He's a wonderful theologian. He's a young guy, and he has this breadth of knowledge on all things theology. So he went to Franciscan University at Steubenville, and he had it on his heart to develop a new Catholic university in Los Angeles for the last who knows how many years. So he started it, and then we just joined forces this year, and he had started it under a different name, so we just changed it to Catholic Polytechnic and incorporated the vision that I had into it, and we've been a great team ever since.
Now, I attended graduate school at the Catholic University of America in Washington, D.C., which was chartered by Pope Leo back in the 1800s. To what kind of, do you have to talk to the Pope about doing this? Do you have to talk to the diocese? What's the rule there?
Yes, definitely, especially if you want to use the word Catholic in the name. So we're working on that. We have started a relationship with the Archbishop of Los Angeles, Archbishop Jose Gomez, and he has been supportive of us. So we don't have that stamp of approval yet, but we hope to. But there's, and I'm sure I'm going to pronounce this incorrectly, but ex cordia ecclesia, there's this movement to incorporate the bishops into anything Catholic as far as higher education goes. And so we want to strive to be in accordance with that. We want to strive to be a Newman college, and we hope to be everything Catholic. It's what I had envisioned years ago, which is something I like to call Catholic immersion. I want the students to be able to grow further into their faith so that they have a faith that you can sink your teeth into. It's a way of life. It's not just, hey, we're going to Mass on Sunday. No, it's adoration, the sacraments on campus. I'd love to have daily mass. I'd love to have maybe a Latin mass option once a week for the students. Student clubs, pro-life clubs. We'd really want this Catholic immersion, similar to what you'd think of as Spanish language immersion or a language immersion course. We'd want Catholic immersion for this.
I recall as an undergraduate at the University of Massachusetts being a member of the Newman Club, and we would have regular meetings. They provided mass on campus eventually, and I faithfully attended these meetings because we had cake and ice cream at the end of the meeting. But I think it's so important that in those still formative years of young people to stay connected. You go away to school hundreds of thousands of miles away from your home. You don't have the influence of your family there.
Right.
And there are lots of roads open to temptation now that you're free of the boundaries that have been set for you. So
That's very true.
let me ask you about how you would go about once you have, you don't even have the building. Could you do this on computer?
Yes, I mean, we're certainly looking at all avenues. The benefit to starting your own university is you can pretty much envision things and make them happen. And so what we really hope to do is we hope to have an on-campus physical location for the undergraduate program, so the kids are learning very hands-on. Then we also hope to offer online master's or certificate programs for professionals or postgraduate programs. So it's going to be probably a good combination of both online and in-person learning.
Am I going to have to take sociology?
So the plan is to have it a complete university, and that would require lower division courses. We're hoping to offer classical curriculum for the lower division courses. So the students learn in-depth writing skills, critical thinking skills, creative thinking skills, communication skills. And so history, writing, those basic courses are definitely required.
So the same courses basically that any college student would be studying before they concentrated on a major, as it were.
Yes, that's definitely going to be required, simply because so much of those skills are taught in those courses, not just course content, but the skills themselves. And then beyond that, that's where the Polytechnic comes in. So we're looking at engineering, science, all kinds of science, technology, math, like business analytics, business degrees, and of course with the foundation of Catholic theology and apologetics and philosophy courses.
So how do you make the meld of attention to the magisterium and science, which quite often says, no, you know, that's all that religious stuff, whatever no. How do you, there's a constant, I think, kind of in the laic world of saying, no, science has to be first, when in fact, God has to be first.
Right, that's certainly true, and God will always be first at Catholic Polytechnic University, no question. There is this conflict of interests that the culture seems to have spread, that science and faith are incongruous, that they fight up against each other, but it's it's a fallacy. And as the Vatican astronomer, Brother Guy Consul Magnos, once said, the more that you learn of the created, the more you learn of our Creator. And as a scientist myself, I can't say how true that really is. There is a beautiful melding of science and faith. And one of the plans that we have is to, number one, have all the professors take that oath to the magisterium so that no one is veering off into other directions. But we also plan to have theologians design our science and faith curriculum. And there is even a course called Philosophy of Science done by Catholics that shows that perfect intertwining of science and faith. And that's so important these days because when you look at Pew Research Center's recent research, they say that the number one reason that people give for leaving the faith is they see a disconnect between science and faith. So this is one of the things that we combat in our university, is to show people the direct line between science and faith, the direct relationship.
So with the university, you have, ideally, you have a building, you have an outreach, you have a faculty. Now, where do you get a faculty that's going to say, oh yeah, that's right up my alley?
I'll tell you, they have been coming in droves to me. It's been so amazing. So recently I've posted on LinkedIn just a simple post saying, here, I'm starting this new Catholic university, please come take our survey. And that survey went viral. We got 12,000 views of that one post in 2 to 3 weeks. And out of that came the professors. Not all of them, obviously, are recruited at this point, but many people came forward and said, here, let me give you a resume. I want to come work for this institution. I've had not just professors, but administrative staff step forward and say, I'm totally behind this, let me come help. I want to work for you. So I kind of feel like recruiting those professors is going to be maybe the least difficult of my
That's
hurdles.
Terrific. Which brings something to mind to me, that because of this response, it shows that there are lots of other people that feel the need for this sort of education.
Yes.
We'll be back, so please stay with us with our guest, Dr. Jennifer Nolan.
Most Christians are eager to know and understand St. Paul and his writings. Paul of Tarsus was a convert to Christianity. He was a learned man under the great teacher Gamaliel. He was a persecutor of Christians, but his encounter with Christ on the way to Damascus had such a life-changing impact on him that he spent the rest of his life for Christ, bringing Christ to the Gentiles. So he is known as the Apostle of the Gentiles. We see him first in the Acts of the Apostles and later learn about him from his letters. Through his letters, Paul has become a major influence in our understanding of Jesus' life, death, and resurrection. Therefore, knowing St. Paul is to know Christianity. Father Mike Manning's booklet, Paul's Passion, will help you to know and understand St. Paul and his writings. This book explains the key concepts from St. Paul, like justification by faith, grace, weakness, love, and so on. It will help you read the letters of Paul with a new appreciation and insight.
Get your copy today. Call the number on the screen or email us. You can also place your order by visiting our website. Know the man, Paul of Tarsus.
Thanks for staying with us. Glad to have you back. We're with our guest today, Dr. Jennifer Nolan, PhD, and she is an expert on cognitive science. We talked about that a little earlier, and we're going to get into it a little bit later on. But right now, I want to talk to you again about how all the things we've talked about make us know that there is a need for what you're trying to do.
Mm-hmm. There is absolutely need. Catholics in general historically have done liberal arts institutions extremely well. I would say we have developed some of the best liberal arts institutions in the world. In this day, I would say that the need for a Polytechnic institution that is fully Catholic has become more and more prevalent. So I have kids, and some of them want to be scientists and engineers. Some of the Catholic institutions have developed engineering programs and science programs, but it's not the primary focus of their institution. So for us, what we'd be looking at is really convergent degrees, degrees where you, say, combine computer science with engineering or biology with computer science. So these are the areas that we primarily build our institution to address. And the ultimate goal of all of this is to rebuild the Catholic Church from the inside out. So by providing opportunities for our students to have careers that provide a higher socioeconomic status, what we're doing is we're empowering them to have larger families because they can support the larger families, and they can be innovators. They can go out into the world and have really great jobs in the science and tech and engineering fields, and therefore they can support their large families and rebuild the Catholic Church by ushering more money and more people back into it.
I remember as a kid going to a religious school that every hour a bell would ring, and we would stop the class and we'd make the sign of the cross and we'd say a prayer. We would bless the hour.
Beautiful.
Going to have that at the university?
Anything's possible.
I would think.
Anything's possible.
Let's give me an idea of, say, something 101, some courses that we don't generally hear about that will be totally new.
The curriculum is really under development. I would hesitate to say anything definitively right now because I have experts right now that are working on developing that curriculum. And we're considering different models of classrooms because as a cognitive scientist, one thing I'm acutely aware of is that research on learning shows that kids who are in traditional lectures don't tend to retain the information that they were given. Maybe 5% of that material gets remembered several years out. And so we're looking at the really innovative ways of developing curriculum, one of which is doing something where there's kind of a lecture blitz, maybe 15 minutes that the professor will speak, and then they break off into groups and use lab work or debate work or just discussion in order to incorporate that material more deeply into the memory. So curriculum is really, it's not defined at this point.
So if I go through the Catholic Polytechnic University and the Board of Regents says I've fulfilled all the requirements, what is my degree going to say?
That's a good question. We're actually working on that right now because we have interest in from two major Catholic institutions in pairing with us. So there may be dual degree programs. It will likely say a Bachelor's of Science in whatever field, so computer science or biology or electrical engineering from Catholic Polytechnic University. And it could also say a Bachelor's of Science from a different college in another engineering field. So we could, and we're in discussion right now with two universities to figure this out, but we could have that as a possibility.
I had a double major in college, yes.
Right.
One was girls and the other was sports. So my background is English, journalism, drama, so really words. Nothing scientific about it at all. This idea of cognitive science, it's new to me, but I can see from what you've been telling us that there are ways, even if we don't go through the curriculum at the Catholic Polytechnic University, that programs can be created that would be from other venues that would do the same. So that idea of, university that you have is much broader than just going from your school straight out this way. It will go out that way.
Right, right. It is a broad perspective of a school. The vision that I have of it is a broad one, but it's funny because once you start to come in line with what the Lord wants of you in your life, things start falling in place. So people would think, well, why would you start a university? And who am I to start a university? But really, this is coming out of a mother's need for her kids and other people's same need, our Catholic Church's need. And so out of love for my Lord and out of love for my children and out of love for the Catholic Church, I decided to move forward with this project. And it is coming together in amazing ways. Just the people that the Lord has led to me are so outstanding in so many ways, really experts in their fields, and yet the kindest, most humblest, God-centered people you'd ever come across. And there are students that keep asking me, so when is it going to start? When is it going to start? Because we want to go. And there are other professors who say, hey, you know, I'm being pressured to do embryonic stem cell research in my university. Can I bring my labs to you? I actually had a professor call me up and tell me that. I see this university as serving a need. It's serving a vast need that our country needs right now. Our Catholic Church needs it now.
How big do you think it could be? And do you think it could the model for other schools as well?
We'll obviously start off small, but I'd say don't put limits on what the Holy Spirit can offer, because you'd really be surprised. I had very small ideas, and already my mind has just been blown by what the Lord has shown me. I don't even want to theorize how big this could be. I want it to serve generation after generation after generation and to grow each generation. I want our grandkids to go there. I want our great-grandkids to go there. And I want it to start feeding the Catholic Church from now until eternity. It has the capacity of starting small, but growing like a river, wide, and eventually maybe there will be a medical school.
Wow.
You can't put a limit on what the Holy Spirit has in mind.
If I were to list my achievements in my lifetime, one was spending 21 years teaching kids music and other things in Sunday school.
Beautiful.
And one day I had taught the kids how to sing Amen, and tried to put a lot of spiritual things in the teaching, as is most every place like that. And a little boy was on the pot with his mom watching his training, and he started to sing the song. And the mother said, well, where did you learn that? He said, Mr. Jack, is he God? And as she tells it, she said, no, he just thinks he is.
That's wonderful.
Well, gee, it's been a fantastic thing. Let's talk about money.
Okay.
Give me a ballpark figure just to get started.
So we've made studies of other universities, and other universities, some have started small, others have started larger because of the need of online platforms for learning. That can save money, and that can also cost a lot of money. So there's this wide variety in what amounts are needed to start. In general, we're probably looking realistically at about $20 to $25 million.
Here's my checkbook. It's been fantastic talking with you today.
Thank you.
Such an original concept. And I think that, we're going to have some information about how you can pay some of that $20 million. And I think it's a worthy cause.
So if you would like to contribute or contact us anyway, go to www.catholicpolytechnic.org. Again, Catholic Polytechnic, all one word, .org. And you can read more about the programs that we're developing. You can fill out a contact us page.
I want to thank you so much. This has been delightful. You personally, a delightful person.
Thank
I
you
want
so
to
much.
shake your hand.
Thank you.
Oh, your hand is cold today. Were you nervous?
Little.
Oh, your wonderful job.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for watching today. I'm going to end with a prayer. The need for the faith in our lives is enormous, especially in this day and age. So we want to ask God to bless this ministry,
Thank you.
bless you, bless the people who support us here, and also to keep it moving. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Most Christians are eager to know and understand St. Paul and his writings. Paul of Tarsus was a convert to Christianity. He was a learned man under the great teacher Gamaliel. He was a persecutor of Christians, but his encounter with Christ on the way to Damascus had such a life-changing impact on him that he spent the rest of his life for Christ, bringing Christ to the Gentiles. So he is known as the Apostle of the Gentiles. We see him first in the Acts of the Apostles and later learn about him from his letters. Through his letters, Paul has become a major influence in our understanding of Jesus' life, death, and resurrection. Therefore, knowing St. Paul is to know Christianity. Father Mike Manning's booklet, Paul's Passion, will help you to know and understand St. Paul and his writings. This book explains the key concepts from St. Paul, like justification by faith, grace, weakness, love, and so on. It will help you read the letters of Paul with a new appreciation and insight.
Get your copy today. Call the number on the screen or email us. You can also place your order by visiting our website. Know the man, Paul of Tarsus.